Here's several things I wish I knew whenever I started my journey in Soulframe. So in Soulframe, there is a thing called soul mode or soul still. This is also referred to as spectral sight. So in order to activate spectral sight, you're going to press E on keyboard by default or left trigger on controller by default. Spectral sight is used for a whole lot of things in the game. This includes collecting the yellow orbs you're going to see floating around certain points of interest in the game as a new player. So whenever you walk up to one of the points of interest, you'll see a yellow glowing orb. Activate your spectral sight. That's going to consume the orb, and eventually that's going to reveal to you a little bit of lore about a particular location. You can also use spectral sight in order to easily identify quest objectives and loot, and a few other things in the game, such as consuming a smite. We'll talk about that a little bit more here in just a moment. Tip number 2 is also referencing the yellow orbs that you're going to see flying around some of the points of interest in the game. So after you consume all of the yellow floaty things in each POI by activating your spectral sight, you can then check your codex in game to collect what's called a mote. A mote is something you can add on to your weapon or your pack in order to make them a little bit stronger. And currently this is a permanent choice and it can't be changed. So make sure you choose wisely. So a few of the motes that I would recommend that you look out for is one called Spade Abreast. This gives you a plus 5% smite chance. And this is really good in the game. We'll talk about smite and what that does a little bit later. This is one you're going to want to choose. A couple of the other ones you're going to want to choose are the ones that say plus 10% courage flows on felled enemies, plus 10% grace flowed on felled enemies, and plus 10% spirit flowed on felled enemies. What these motes do is give you a chance to have a cooldown reduction on your specific abilities, making them pretty good. These are the ones that I would go for. So as I was working on this video, they released Envoy Hour number 2. So Envoy Hour is just a live stream that Digital Extremes puts on that shows some things that are coming to Soulframe. They do this every single Tuesday, but during Envoy Hour number 2, they did mention that the new mote rework could be coming in with Preludes 11, which will be dropping very soon. So all of the things I just mentioned about the motes may or may not hold true for Preludes 11. So if you're watching this after Preludes 11 and they implemented the new mote system, just disregard this tip. If they have not implemented the new mote system yet for Preludes 11, then this tip will still be valid for that version of the game. Tip number 3 is in regards to these things called Sparrow tails. So whenever you're in the game, you can join a faction, and whenever you join a faction, you're going to be able to run these quests called Sparrow tails. Whenever you're running these Sparrow tails, they're going to send you on these fetch quests and other types of objectives that you're going to have to complete. Sometimes you're going to have to find a specific item, and this can be a little bit tricky because sometimes the item is a little bit hidden. And one of the ways you can find that is, of course, by using your spectral sight. That's going to help you. But another way is by looking at the compass at the top of your map. So your compass is going to blink faster the closer you are to an objective. So just pay attention to the blinking and the pulsing on your compass, and that'll help you get closer to your objective and help you find those items that are really hard to find much, much easier. Tip number 4, whenever you first log into the game as a new player, you're going to notice that your map is completely covered in fog. Well, the way you're going to open up the map is you're going to interact with these world trees. And whenever you interact with the world tree, it's going to open up a specific spot on the map so then you can see it. So whenever you first start the game, this is going to be one of the things you're going to want to do is just run around the map and interact with these trees so that you can open up the entire map to see what's going on out there in Midrath. And there is an interactive map. It is soulmap.avocad.org. I'll make sure to link that down in the description below. If you want a way to find those trees without actually running around the world and searching for them, there is a resource for you that you can do that. If you don't want to be spoiled on where those trees are and you simply want to explore the world of Midrath yourself, you can do that. And if you scroll really, really far down into your map, you can kind of see the tree in the fog of war on the map. So you can work your way to those trees in that manner if you want to, or you can use the map that I just referenced. Tip number 5, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, so you may want to skip this if you don't want to be spoiled on anything or where to find some of the ancestors in the game. But one of the things you're going to want to do whenever you first start the game is, of course, craft some new weapons and armor. In order to do that, you're going to need to find the blacksmith. Her name is Tuvalkane. She is located just east of Oro's Well. It's kind of near the center of the map. there's a little quarry down near the well, and you need to work your way into the center of the quarry. There is going to be a helmet sitting there in the middle. You simply grab that helmet, and then you're going to walk over to the next point. You're going to drop it, and you're going to be able to unlock tool volcane for your nightfold. Then you're going to be able to craft armor and weapons. Tip number 6, this is also in reference to the blacksmith. So once you have tool volcane in your nightfold, you're going to want to level up the blacksmith in order to craft a lot of weapons and armor. So you're going to need to have certain rank with tool volcane to craft certain gear. And in order to do that, you're going to need to obtain parts, craft weapons. That's going to rank up your blacksmith. However, make sure that you are not crafting duplicate versions of a weapon, because this does not give you any rank with tool volcane. So don't make that mistake. Don't waste your resources doing this. Only crafting items that you have not crafted previously is going to increase your rank with tool volcane. So don't try to craft duplicates. You're just going to waste a bunch of resources whenever you do that. Tip number 7, one of the best ways to gain resources in Soulframe is just by destroying all of the destructible items that you see. So a lot of the barrels, the crates, all the items that look like they might be able to be destroyed probably can be. So make sure you're destroying all of those items, because they drop a lot of resources, including Drax, which is the currency in Soulframe. You're going to need Drax for a lot of different things, including crafting armor and weapons. So you're going to want to stock up on those. So make sure you run around and break all of the breakables. A great place to do this is down in the city of Durmak. It is the Undercity. It is a dungeon in Soulframe. There's a lot of destructible items within the city of Durmak. So make sure you go down there if you're needing some Drax or some other resources. You can go down there, break all the destructibles, and get a bunch of goods. Tip number 8. So we talked about how to obtain motes a little bit earlier, but now that you have some, what do you do with them and how do you add them to your weapon and packs? Well, the way you do this is you go into your nightfold, you walk into the tent, and you activate the UI that shows you where to change your weapons and armor in the game. Then whenever you hover over weapons, you're going to right click a specific weapon and you're going to see an area to add motes. You also can go over to the very far left hand side and you can see the packs tab. That's where you add motes to your pack. This could change with Preludes 11 because there is a lot of UI improvements coming in with Preludes 11. We're not really sure what all that's going to entail, and Preludes 11 might even be released by the time you watch this video. So just keep a lookout on that, but for now, this is the only way, or this is the way you add motes to your weapons and your packs. Tip number 9. So we talked about a thing called smite a little bit earlier. So a smite is basically a critical hit in Soulframe. So whenever you proc a crit hit in Soulframe, what's going to happen is the enemy is going to glow a specific color. Whenever the enemy starts glowing, you're going to activate your spectral sight. That's going to suck their soul out of their body, and that is basically a critical hit. Now, whenever you suck their soul out of their body, you are also going to receive some cooldown reduction on a specific ability. The cooldown reduction you receive is going to be correlated to the color of the smite on the enemy. So for example, if you hit a smite on an enemy and it is a green orb, whenever you suck the soul out by using your spectral sight, you are then going to also receive a large amount of cooldown reduction on your green ability. Tip number 10, the game does currently give you some premium currency. You can look at it by viewing your inventory. It's the gray little currency up in the top left beside your Drax. There is no other way to obtain premium currency currently in the game because it is in Preludes. So make sure you're not just wasting all your premium currency by speeding up weapon and armor crafting speeds, because you're also going to need weapon and packed slots. You currently cannot own every single weapon in the game without purchasing some of those slots. So DE is giving us some premium currency. Make sure you use that premium currency to purchase weapon capacity. You can do that by going into your nightfold, walking into the tent, and then walking up to the weapon rack and interacting with it. You can then purchase packed capacity and weapon capacity using the premium currency at a cost of 25 premium currency per. Tip number 11. So you do have an account level in Soulframe, much like you do in Warframe. So your account level in Soulframe is going to increase by leveling up different weapons and different packs. So much like the tool volcane thing we mentioned before, leveling the same weapon again is not going to give you XP towards your account level. You can use these things called joineries to reset your weapon level and make your weapon a little bit stronger. We'll talk about joineries in a completely separate video, but you can use those. But if you do level your weapon again, it's not going to give you any XP towards that account level. But if you increase your account level, you are going to be rewarded with additional virtue skill points, which you can spend to make your character a little bit stronger. Tip number 12. So I just mentioned virtue skill points in the previous tip. So what are virtue skill points? Well, in Soulframe, virtue skill points consist of what's called courage, spirit, and grace. And generally speaking, your courage is going to increase your ability strength, your spirit is going to increase your ability duration, and grace is going to increase your ability range. Now, whenever we're talking about weapons, those are completely different. So whenever you're talking about increasing ability strength, those are related to your specific pack that you currently have equipped. Weapons, on the other hand, also scale off specific virtue skill points. So a weapon may scale off of spirit, which means you're going to increase your spirit in order to do more damage with that particular weapon. Or a weapon may be attuned to the courage virtue, which means you're going to want to put more points in courage in order to increase the damage for that particular weapon. And that leads us right into tip number 13. So just know for now that whenever you're putting virtue skill points into a particular virtue to increase your weapon damage, that there is a cap to that weapon damage. So for example, if you want to use something like the Blitzel bow, this bow is attuned to courage, meaning the more points of courage you put into your virtue skill points, the more damage this bow is going to do. Or if you wanted to use something like the Soulless One, this is a weapon that is attuned to spirit, which means the more spirit you have, the more damage this weapon is going to do. But understand that there is a cap to that. So you can't just put in a boatload of spirit and then expect this damage to scale infinitely. There is what's called an attunement cap for every single weapon in the game. The way you check that is by, of course, checking some external websites. I'm sure there's some wikis out there that have this information listed, but you can check it yourself in game simply by hovering over the weapon and then increasing that particular virtue up to a certain point, and then hovering over the weapon again to see if it stayed the same or increased. Once you hit the cap, obviously your damage isn't going to increase anymore. It's going to stay the same. So just know there is a ceiling to the amount of virtue points you can put into a particular weapon in order to make it stronger. Tip number 14. So there's a lot of resources in the game that can be a little bit tricky to get. A couple of those include things like Moronite or Cephaline. These are some pretty rare resources. It can take you quite a while to go farm these up. If you have additional Drax laying around and you don't have anything to spend them on currently, there is a thing called an Avocot in the game. He sells a lot of resources on kind of a rotating timer. You can check the store to see if he has any Moronite or Cephaline. This is a great way to increase your stock of these rare resources without having to go farm them. Now, just know that some of these rare resources are pretty expensive, like 1,500 Drax a piece. So if you don't have that, you may not want to spend it. You may rather go farm them, but just know this is a thing, and you can go to the Avocot on the map. Sometimes he'll spawn randomly, but there is a permanent Avocot located in Oro as well. So if you're around there, you may want to go check the shop to see if he has any of these rare resources for you to buy. It'll save you a whole lot of time grinding these resources up. Now, there is a resource in the shop currently as of Preludes 10. This may change with the upcoming update with Preludes 11, but there are these things called river pearls that cost 1,500 a piece. As of right now, I definitely would not recommend buying river pearls. Again, this could change in the future and probably will, but they're 1,500 a piece in the Avocot shop, and they're very easily obtainable just by running around by a river and picking them up. And tip number 15, whenever you're in your Nightfold, if you have Verminia, if you've done that fable and have this unlocked in your Nightfold, make sure you check the little table over here to the left of the cauldron every day. There's a thing called a Cloud Quell potion that spawns there every single day, every 24 hours. That Cloud Quell potion is used whenever you fight a boss in the game called Nimrod. You will encounter him whenever you start doing high-level faction tales, and those Cloud Quell potions can greatly reduce the strength of Nimrod, making him a whole lot easier to take out. So every single day, a Cloud Quell potion spawns there for free. You'll also see these pop up in the Avocot shop, but just know you can get them every single day for free over here on the table at Verminia's location within the Nightfold. And tip number 16, whenever you die in Soulframe, you're going to turn into a Sparrow, and you have the option to either spawn at a spawn point or make your way back to your body. you can greatly increase the speed of your Sparrow's flight by holding down the space key. I think it's space by default on keyboard, and I believe it is right trigger on controller by default, but you can greatly increase the speed of your Sparrow to get back to your body by holding down those keys. And tip number 17 is also related to the Sparrow. So if you get lost in one of the dungeons or need help finding an objective, don't forget to utilize your Sparrow, because this is going to help guide you to your objective. And if you're down in like the city of Durmac, or if you're down in the Glades or any dungeon in the game, and you find yourself lost, not knowing how to get out of the dungeon, just utilize your Sparrow. It's going to guide you to the exit if you don't have an objective in that particular dungeon. And tip number 18, this is kind of a bonus tip for you guys. If you are looking for a specific piece of armor or a weapon or any kind of resource in the game, there is a website out there right now called Soulframe Plus. Just wanted to give these guys a little bit of a shout out because this website is incredible. I use it all the time. But that's all the tips I have for you in this one, boys and girls. Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you enjoy Soulframe content, please come follow me over on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/BDLG. Currently, I'm streaming every single Wednesday morning and Thursday morning, starting at 9 a.m. CST. We stream for 3 or 4 hours over there. It's a great time. I'd love to have you come over there and hang out. Also, go check out the TikTok. I post a lot of shorts over there, a lot of fun Soulframe content. It is just at the BDLG. BDLG was taken, unfortunately, so I had to use the BDLG, but it's at the BDLG over there on TikTok. Would love to see you follow me over there as well. That'd be great. But for now, that's all I have for you. Thank you guys again for watching. I greatly appreciate it. That'll do it. We'll see you in the next one.